So we're gonna go ahead into our first potions experiment. And the first one we're going to be doing today is the dry ice crystal ball. So Harry Potter's crystal ball. For this experiment, you'll definitely want to have an adult help you because dry ice is super dangerous to use. If you touch it with your bare hands, it can burn you. So you'll want an adult to help you. So the first step that we're going to be doing is we need to add water into our bowl. And you'll want to fill it up. You can fill it up about an inch, or you can go a little higher to about halfway of the bowl, whichever you prefer. And if you have a sink on hand, I don't have a sink in this room, but you'll want to make sure that the water is warm. So you'll want to fill it up with some warm water. What I'm going to do is pour water in here, and I'm going to microwave it to make it a little bit warmer than just lukewarm. And while that is warming up, I'm going to prepare my soapy water. So you'll need another smaller flask, and you're going to fill up that glass, not all the way, but you'll want a decent amount of water in there. All right, so I've got my water, and next thing is soap. So I'm going to add my soap in here, and we're going to put a nice layer. Should be good. And you'll want to stir that up a little bit. So after your water is a bit warmed up, we're going to put some dry ice in our bowl. And you're going to see a chemical reaction happen. If you have your dry ice with you, you'll actually want to break it up into smaller chunks. I just used this, hammered it down a little bit, and it broke into smaller pieces. And before I put it in, I'm going to get my gloves on. So I want to be extra safe, and I have my tongs. And you might hear something when I grab these. We'll see. Let's do... All right, so I'm going to put it in there. Dry ice is carbon dioxide, and it's frozen. It's so cold, it's a negative 109.3 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's super cold. So when it's put in that water, it instead of just going from liquid to gas, it changes from solid to gas without that in between. So that's why you see all of this smoke coming off of it, which is pretty neat. You are going to grab your piece of fabric, and you're going to put it into your cup of dish soap and water. So you're going to dip that in there, and you'll want to get your fingers in there too. And I'm not going to wipe my fingers. I'm actually going to take my finger and put it around the rim. Just on the outer layer of the rim. You do not want the soap to go inside the bowl, or it'll change how the experiment works. Okay. So once you put your finger around the bowl and you've got your fabric all soapy, the goal is to take your fabric, make it nice and taut across so it's straight, and you're going to put it on the very end of the lip of your bowl, and you're going to wipe it across. You're going to try to get a bubble to form along the top of your bowl. For the Goblin snot juice, can't eat it, you can't drink it or anything like that, but it's handy to have if you want to ward off goblins. But to start off, you'll take your jar and you're going to put some food coloring in your jar. So I'm just going to put in, let's see, maybe like 5 drops or so. All right, so you have your jar and just the food coloring. You will also need some water. So you're going to fill your jar. You'll probably want to fill it about halfway. Okay, and then mine, I'm just making a nice blue color. And now you want to add some of your vegetable oil in. And you're gonna want to pour just like a quarter of the way. If you don't want to use honey, you can actually fill up the remainder of the jar, but you don't want to go all the way to the top. You'll want to leave some room at the top. And you'll see on mine, I know it's hard to see, but do you see those bubbles forming? So what you're seeing is that separation between the water and the oil. And if you have a lid that you put on your jar, I'd recommend putting a lid on it or putting a cover over it, because what you can do once you have those ingredients added is you can shake it up a little bit and you're going to see what happens. And now you want to look at the changes that you see. That looks pretty cool. Let's see, it's kind of hard to tell. You can still see kind of a separation, but the little bubbles, do you see the little bubbles in your jar? And then after you shake it, you'll see that the oil and the water just goes right back to those same layers it was before. But you can shake it as many times as you want. You can try to mix them together as much as you want. And it might look like they mix at first, but they'll eventually separate into those two layers again. So I'm actually going to put just a little bit of honey in here to see what happens. You guys see that? So it's like a yellow-green color all the way at the bottom. And then the water, and then at the very top is that oil. Basically, density is the measure of how heavy the particles that make up a substance are. So the water and oil have different densities. So the water molecules are very densely packed, while oil has more loosely packed molecules. So you'll see how that's separated out. You can shake it again if you want. Just make sure that lid's on so it doesn't go everywhere. And it tries to mix together, but it's gonna separate back out into those layers. And since I used a blue color for my food coloring, the honey's still a little yellow, but it's also a little green, because yellow and blue make green, that color. And then the oil is just a lighter blue color, and it almost looks a little sparkly without me adding any glitter in there. That's pretty cool.